And it's nice to see people moving around as well. Obviously, we don't have the region caps. You can just play with delay, but I believe he is out in South America. And it looks like a lot of the public have gone with our side of the prediction as well. So nice to see them have some faith in us at least.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think this can really go either way. It's just really hard to predict because, you know, for most people, we're not necessarily following the, you know, the tier 2 tournaments and the smaller skill events in regions like South America West. So I'm really excited to have a first glance at what they have to show to us today. We are going to be seeing Carl, Penny, and Max banned out by Juan Danilos, and then Enfermo are going to be banning out Max as well and Penny, but also adding those two to the list. So not the most bans in this one, as we have 2 double bans, but we will be seeing an Otis first pick on the side of Juan for this opening set.
Yeah, when we're going to see the spike being picked up on the other side of things from Enfermo. I do like that. They've gone with pretty much 2 of the most versatile picks in the game with Janet and Spike here. They can be good against tanks. Well, I mean, Spike can be good against tanks. He can be good against those mid-range brawlers. And same with kind of Janet, you know, those mid-range brawlers and the long-range brawlers that can seem competent against as well. And Otis is going to be having a little bit of a tough time if he doesn't manage to get that early control against either one of these, as scanning the bush is a lot easier with those 2 brawls than it is with that Otis. But we do come back to Juan Danilos with the 2nd and 3rd pick. They're going to go with the roughs, and I do like that. Those sandbags really, really help. And even he does bring that Meteor Rain gadget, it still has some legs here as well.
Yeah, I agree. I really love roughs on this map. The opportunity to open up the map, of course, but also in general, clear out someone that's just sitting in that bush for too long. A sneaky bounce might just get him out of position, or at least reveal him. Gus is going to be their final pick, I'm assuming, as a gem carrier, rather a safe one as well. Can play your range, can play your shield either on yourself or on your mates whenever you need to. If you need to overextend a little bit for a gem, that's going to give you that extra layer of safety and take it away from your opponents, as Enfermo are going to be heading towards that 3rd and final pick of this draft. And it's going to be a Squeak, which I would assume then is going to be played out on lane and potentially the Janet mid then? I'm not entirely sure. What is your read on this one, Trav?
I mean, no, I'm kind of the same as you, a bit all up in the air. I don't think we really see either Gus in the mid or kind of Janet or a Squeak in the mid on this map in any other region, so it's a little bit unusual, but maybe I'm kind of going a little bit more towards the Squeak just because that residue can be thrown in the mid and pretty much block off that, slow it down and see in the bushes as well, would be my answer to it. But at this point, I'm not really sure, as neither of these teams really have, you know, that solidified mid we're used to seeing here. You're going to be seeing the Gus obviously on the side of Juan Danilos, but at the end of the day, it's not really that guaranteed for the majority of other players, but we do see a little bit of a better start in terms of control for Enfermo here, but that right side's definitely lacking a little bit, well, technically on both sides, I guess.
Yeah, I find it quite interesting how lately, and specifically as well in South America, we've been seeing less and less dedicated gem carriers, and yes, that does give you the versatility to potentially swap depending on the matchups, but it does also mean that your brawler picks are just going to be a little bit less specific and specialized in that role. Nice dodge there from Christian, and so far this is a pretty good start for Juan Danilos as they are heading still upwards in the map. Christian needs to be careful, he gets taken out. JXCR is low HP as well on the bottom right of the map, but that means that every single gem is gonna be stolen by Mateo. Number 9 and 10 now as the countdown starts for Enfermo.
Yeah, it is Alvaro with that one, though, so he needs to be a little bit careful as well. But Slow comes in from no one, and that's going to get him off the map. The biggest damage deal, the bigger possibility of this turnaround because of that mute. Super thrown forward once more by Squeak, but I don't believe it actually got...
Throughout the entirety of the game, until there was that overextension, a little bit of overconfidence from Christian, and that ended up dropping way too many gems, just at a very poor timing, because JXCR on the right side, he did lane switch. Now, he was too low HP to really contest those gems, and Mateo was pretty much free to just pick them up and steal them away from Juan Danilos.
Mateo now with 2 in the bag. Starting a little bit better. We got the drop the base down as well, and Christian being pushed back. Both lanes in terms of the grass are actually in the hands of ENF at the moment, and no one's going to pick up that left-hand side. Toxic trying to make the push down the right, but those sandbags should quickly be eradicated, and they are. Just one shot from Alvaro. Surprisingly, isn't throwing a residue or something down here to get a little bit better vision of one of the sides, and then just kind of make the move around the other, but he's actually looking for the push, and Christian's actually going to be a little bit selfish and use that shield on himself rather than his teammate, and he's still going to go down because of it. 3 gems going to be dropped, and that's going to be 8 once they pick up this one from the mid. More of the same. Infermo just picking up the gems that are being dropped and taking the win because of it.
Yeah, it feels like Juan Danilos are really not that bad at taking control. They're just not able to know where the limit is, where the boundaries are, what they can afford to get away with. And so far, that's been quite a recipe for disaster. Christian was a big pickup. The slow from no one, though, is going to be problematic as well. Supply drop just ever so narrowly dodged. And all 10 gems are on no one now. Countdown initiated, and Juan Danilos, they need to take him down. He doesn't have the most HP out of the team, so they could be able to make it work, and they will do that. Alvaro, though, is going to be coming back to pick them up. Toxic running away with a shield as well. A supply drop. The spike slow is going to be devastating, and at the end of the day, somehow Enfermo still was the gems here.
I mean, that spike slowing gear is just so dirty. It just pretty much stopped him in his tracks completely, and it's a good job he got that as quick as he did off spawn, or that could have been a completely different story, and we could be seeing Juan Danilos walk away with this one. But it is going to be NF who do manage to bring this one home, and that's the first set along with it as well. They looked a little bit sketchy here and there, I will say. Won the games that maybe they shouldn't have done, but they did look a lot better in that second one. Reparations were also, just to note, Dance isn't playing. There was a little bit of a graphical error there, so I definitely feel like I've got a bit more faith in them now. No offense to Dance, of course.
That makes sense. Although, I mean, I used to love to watch him fail for his team in Europe back in the days. Always a good time when he had to. But yeah, I think it's better if he remains on the staff side of things. God, we are talking so much trash about poor Dan TZ. Either way, pit stop up next for some heist action, and we'll see Nita double banned as well as Ems and Primo banned out by Juan Danilos. Infermo gonna be very much against the throwers as they ban Dynamite and Barley.
Well, quick picks coming in. Otis was the first by Infermo, and Max quickly picked by Juan Danilos over the other side. Got the second pick now as well. You got to be looking for something that's going to synergize quite well with it, possibly even a tank or something like that, but I can't say Penny usually synergizes very well with Max, but they've clearly got a bit of a game plan that they're sticking to, and you've got to respect them for that. But I'm just not sure if Penny being the second pick on pit stop is what I'd go for, especially now that Inferno have got the 2 follow-up picks and there's still so much open.
Yeah, I think something like a Rico or a Ruffs could be immensely valuable here on either sides, really. But also, we've seen how popular tanker brawlers can be here too. It's going to be a Rico as the follow-up pick from Inferno. They have a second one now in a row, and it could very much be a tankier option like a Daryl, like a Bull, those that we have seen countless times already on pit stop, and that we would, yeah, well, Buzz does the job just fine as well. Probably a little bit more focused on those assassinations and tiny little bit less the sort of spam towards safe that you'd expect from a Bull or the Daryl. So I don't mind it per se. We'll see how it works out. It's always a little bit crazy and scary to go for a pull into something like a Penny, especially if a Salty Barrel is well placed. They can make a very swift job of taking care of that Buzz. The Stu as an answer as well is something that might be problematic to deal with, as a pretty good matchup against both Rico and Buzz. I'm curious to see how that one is going to be playing out here on pit stop.
Yeah, I do like the Stu pick, but I feel like they're going to be quite heavily dominated still by this composition, and even at that, they don't have the biggest amount of DPS. They're going to have that Max pretty much make a breakaway, or a Salty Barrel Penny get onto the safe, and even at that, we've got an Otis, we've got a Buzz, we've got a Rico, pretty much all high DPS brawlers on a map like this. I do worry for Juan Danilos once again, and I feel like Infermo might just walk away with it.
Let's jump in. Alvaro sneaking up on that left side and not feeding Toxic just yet until we'll give him that super. Eventually, the stun does connect. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. No one playing it safe so far. Looking to line up the angle, not really able to find anyone, and means that Christian slips through the gaps. The heal is not quite going to come in time here from the bouncy castle from no one, and that does mean that again JD are able to find some nice opportunities on the right hand side. Another pickup from JXCR, and Christian picks up no one. A mortar is placed down, and this is a brilliant opportunity for Juan Danilos to start extending that lead furthermore. Although Enfermo, they do find some good damage on safe as well, and for now they'll have a 9% lead.
Yeah, it was Alvaro who made that breakaway, looking for another super again, and really not going to be able to do too much without it. No one gets a super off, and JXCR just gets the kill over the right side. Alvaro peeks out of that bush, though, and does manage to clean up over there, but damage still raining down from this mortar, and once again, it's going to lock on. Mateo's got this mute now, and through comes Alvaro with the stun. Nice stuff from him. They could just leave Toxic and go for the damage, but they don't really have a quick, swift entryway through, and Alvaro's going to get the stun and the kill anyway, looking to work for another.
Yeah, questionable super there from Mateo. Not really going to find any connection on that one. Alvaro was the stun onto Christian. Christian not able to survive that encounter. Toxic will be there for the trade eventually. No one has some free damage on safe. There's still Juan Danilos with the lead, and that mortar again being so problematic for Enfermo to deal with. Able to get a lot of free damage as Alvaro is desperately trying to just heal up a little bit so he can commit to a pull. So far, not able to find any opportunities until he does, and that's going to be a kill onto Christian. Alvaro is low, but he's still standing, and he is healing up. The mute on Toxic is brilliant, and a great opportunity for Enfermo to start coming back. Another stun from Alvaro. Christian is so low HP. They're low on time, but the positioning is promising here for Enfermo.
Yeah, not a lot of time on the clock as well. Two of them are going to fall, and it's just no one remaining. Great defense from Juan Danilos there to hold on and just win this game out. Come back after that first set loss.
Just seem to have a bit more of a stable and versatile team composition, a slower approach, and yet dynamic enough with both a Stu and a Max. Let's see if they can maintain the buzz as well as they did earlier, contain him. It's probably the more appropriate word, as Alvaro does manage to get a big pickup, and he survives as well, which means he gets a couple shots on save before JXCR ends up clearing him out.
Yeah, Mateo just trying to stay alive, not feed this penny turret, because that is the big thing that won him the game in the last one. Got his mute now, but still got the salty barrel and stuff to be able to tank it. Through comes Alvaro, gets one kill, gets the gadget forward as well. Can he get out of harm's way? He does, and no one actually going to be able to pick up Max also. Both of them should be healing up nicely here, and JXCR just trying to get heals off as well. But it's him versus the Otis up top, and without that mortar, he's not going to be able to get too much done, whereas Alvaro and no one up top are in a really dangerous position.
Alvaro is going to be losing that fight against Toxic. For it is a 7% lead for Enfermo, but with the mortar locking in onto that save, that is going to be some free extra damage, as no one takes a bit long to take care of that. Mortar, Christian, going to catch him off guard, and it's a chance here as Alvaro does burn to his demise. Means JXCR and Christian on the left-hand side are free to hold on to that positioning, and that mortar is back in position again, being an absolute nightmare here for Enfermo.
Yeah, Mateo's actually going to miss his mark as well, and they're just taking damage after damage of the turret, and he's just not really aggressing otherwise. Salty Barrel's going to be able to tank that as well, and I think he should be able to get the kill there. Survives just a little bit longer, but it's really delaying the inevitable at this point, as he does get another turret off Mateo there as well, and should be able to throw this mortar down and get some damage. He's going to play it a little bit more defensively this time, and a little bit more out of harm's way, but Rico's just going to throw a super from right to left to get it down quickly. Alvaro looking for a super and some damage. Has to use it defensively on Christian, or the deficit's going to become even bigger.
Nice pickup from the penny against the Buzz, as Toxic is trying to close the gap here against no one. He's getting some connections, but really committing to the fight. JXCR now with a mortar near the safe, and he's got some decent opportunities to get some extra damage down. Is it going to be enough, though? A bit of a final base raise, but they should be safe and sound, as Juan Danilos will be taking this high set. Not quite as convincingly, but honestly match that energy and find some value on that save. It was just out of reach for the most part, and yeah, I don't know. Juan Danilos so far to me are looking like the better team, which is a little bit surprising considering I'm more familiar with the players on the opposite side.
Yeah, well, draft coming in. We've got the Poco ban, the Squeak ban, and the B ban Poco, Penny, and Stu on the other. Definitely don't want to be faced by quite a lot of that comp again by the looks of things, but Meg going to be the first pick from Juan Danilos, and we know it's proven to be a very good pick here and on open zone as well, and actually pretty much on every single hot zone map, because we can include Ring of Fire in that also. So nice pick for early on, but I do feel like it can get countered quite heavily. You know, you bring in a Colette or something like that, it can really do a lot of damage to that mech form, but when in that smaller form, it's going to be a little bit easier for her to get it back with these more aggressive brawlers. With Poco out the way, it's also hard to back her up just a little bit more, and we should have an Infermo pick relatively soon. Can I go with the Janet? Versatile brawler, as I always like to say, and I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Oh, the loot is where things get a little bit more spicier, though. It's going to be a great opportunity to try to lock on to that mid area and make sure that anyone that overextends their welcome there will end up frozen up. And I mean, slows and stuns are so strong in Brawl Stars. It's always an easy opportunity at a pro level to get some big damage done, close out those eliminations, create openings, and also get that supercharge going for yourself and your teammates. As Griff is going to be their follow-up pick. Again, a brawler that I feel has been shifting out of the meta, but we've been seeing a surprising amount here in South America so far. But this is one of the maps where I tolerate it the most. If you want to open up your side of the map, that is an absolutely viable opportunity depending on the matchups. Try to make that mid-fight a little bit less claustrophobic and open up some more opportunities, as they'll be pairing that with Lola as their final pick on the Juan Danilos comp.
Yeah, no, I like what you said there. I think Griff's probably a good pick to open up their side, because you don't really want to be walking through choke points against Lou. He's going to be able to throw supers on them and cycle them over and over. We see the Bell coming in as the last pick from Infermo, and to be honest, I think it's pretty decent, you know, with Lola being the pick. It's going to be able to bounce off that and the ego, and also they're probably going to be grouping up quite a lot as well, because they don't really want to be taking these long-range deficits in, well, the deficit in range on the lanes quite a lot of the time. So I do like that pick. I really do like the Lou, though, especially because it's going to be coming up against a Meg. The cycle should be quite good.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit. I think Enfermos are coming up here with some really good ideas, some really good counter ideas, especially. Juan Danilos kind of defining the pace with that draft, and I do like how Enfermo are trying to just kind of embrace that idea and roll with it. And the Bell as well is going to be doing a fantastic job when it comes to a very open map, which is exactly what Juan Danilos want to play as well. So let's see how this is going to be playing out. As so far, Juan Danilos with a lot of mid control and some very solid positioning, and Fermo just not really able to match that in the early stages of this game. And besides a couple percentages they got all the way in the beginning, they pretty much have been out of the action for the entire rest of the game, and Alvaro is stuck in a very awkward position, just nothing he can do but hope to heal up, and Christian is not gonna leave them that chance.
Yeah, I mean, this is just all-out control, really. First Lou super coming down, and he's almost been brought down to his knees straight away, and he has actually not going to get much of a cycle off that. Toxic now just trying to work with JCXR to get Mateo down, and does actually manage to do so without any fatalities either. So nice stuff from him. Christian is still just aggressive and managing to avoid so well. You know, we were saying Lou should be able to cycle supers, but he's just not hitting shots, so he shouldn't be able to get the supers. Goes down again as soon as he uses it, and this is just game for Juan Danilos. And at this point, you know, I'm losing hope for Infermo for the future set, and also this one as well.
Yeah, plays. In the second set, they also looked quite a bit better, and then this third one is even more extreme. It's their chance to take over the lead in sets, and I have a feeling they're gonna give it their all to make that happen, as Mateo is very low HP off the bat. The drop the base is annoying because Toxic can't heal up if he's around that area, but eventually will decay, and another one is actually placed down. That means there's only one left. The Lou super does connect, and Christian is able to only barely survive with the mech, as eventually it does fall. Alvaro gonna place a more defensive super now, just kind of funneling Christian around and playing around him really nicely. In the meantime, Toxic has been getting a couple of percentages locked in for his team, as he has a super. He's gonna find a connection, but doesn't quite take down Mateo and falls instead.
Yeah, Christian gonna be able to pick up the defensive kill, and now JC just trying to push forward. Alvaro getting pinched back. Nice stuff from him as well to find that angle back into the grass, and he's finding it once more on Mateo. Might go for Alvaro again, and he does. Keeps him low, resets that heal. Nice stuff from him, but they are both very, very low. They've got a decent lead, but Toxic just avoiding nicely and staying up for a little bit longer, getting a few more percent. And I mean, JXCR is just playing this really, really well, staying alive and just chipping them down little by little.
Yeah, I think the Bell pick was quite smart from Enfermo because Juan Danilos, they want to open up the map to make sure that they have enough space to navigate around those loose supers, but the Bell really shines in that sort of environment. The mark is going to be missed. There is going to be a nice pickup here for Juan Danilos. They are building up a little bit of a lead. Now Mech is going to be popped there by Christian, and that means that Alvaro needs to be careful if he stays up close. Christian with a swipe, not going to use it just yet. Does pick up the elimination now. It's only Mateo left alive, and in the meantime, it's all Juan Danilos in the zone, getting all the way to 90%, and that loose super might just delay the inevitable, as Toxic is still in that zone, and it's only 2% separating Juan Danilos from picking up a second set.
I mean, that's the set, and I will say those loose supers have just been so disappointing all game, and the previous one as well. A lot of the time, 75% of the time, they were just thrown towards an opponent, especially Brawl pretty much comes off the back of the kills. A lot of the time, you really need a better statistic than that, and you know, a lot of the time I say statistics don't matter, but kills always matter no matter what, at least to some degree. Pinhole Punt on Brawl Ball is going to be the next map up, and honestly, I'm kind of feeling like we might see them close it out here in the third set. It really is just looking more and more convincing as time goes by, and Brawl Ball, you know, it's one of those things that momentum does have quite a big effect on.
Absolutely. Our bands are going to be lined up here for Pinhole Punt, and we'll see Squeak and Crow as well as Poco banned out by Juan Danilos on the side of Enfermo. Sorry, they'll be doubling down on the Crow and the Poco, but also adding Stu to the ban list. And we'll see the max first pick for the Juan Danilos side, as Janet is going to be the countermeasure, as well as Otis for the side of Enfermo.
Yeah, those really, really versatile picks again, and we're seeing them come forward. I like the Otis, I like the Janet. The ability to mute and obviously scan the bush with Janet as well is really, really solid. Max, though, you're always going to be able to build a decent comp around Max no matter what you go for and have a decent say in the fight. Back to them for the next two picks now as well, so you got to be looking for something that's going to synergize well with that. But however, you know, I do like the Crow bands, I like the Poco bands, some more of those bush scouty brawlers. Carl going to be the pick from I'm going to forget the team now, Juan Danilos over on that side. And I like it, you know, you can find those openings, especially with speed, where you just fly and hook forward and find the goal.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of X-Factor brawlers, right? That can just pretty much lock down goals single-handedly if the opening is there. Still, even then you gotta spot them, and in the first place, we'll have to see if Enfermo even leave them those sort of opportunities. Spike is quite nice to pair with that Carl, just because you want to make sure that you don't end up facing the Carl as a Spike, so that can be something quite alright for the blue side of things. And Enfermo will be bringing in Penny as their final brawler. Lots of Penny so far today, lots of Otis, a lot of Janet as well, and a lot of Spike. I'm really looking to see what the Carl and the Max have to offer for the side of Juan Danilos. They definitely want to make sure they lock in this match in 4 sets and not have the stress and the anxiety that a 5th set would bring.
Yeah, I mean, that Penny returning once more, I just don't know how I feel about it. It worked last time I said I wasn't sure how I felt about it, but at this point on a map like Brawl Ball, I feel like it is going to struggle quite a lot. Starting off quite well against Toxic, though, and obviously not going to be able to place down as many of those life plants as he wants in front of his tank, as Penny will just completely wipe through that. But it is starting off strong. A little low now and does get brought down, but JXCR just working that right-hand side so nicely.
Yeah, nice pickup from JXCR. Not sure about the super, but better safe than sorry, I guess, as the heals are going to be reset on Mateo, and well, they'll be reset completely as Toxic picks up the elimination. They're trying to bait that super out from no one, but he doesn't quite fall for it, and will survive the encounter. Alvaro with a mortar now on the right side, and the drop to base to make sure that if anyone wants to heal up, they'll have to do so far away from their side of the map. eventually the drop to base is taken care of. A nice pickup as well from Christian as JXCR assisted him with that pinch. That is a free kill there from JXCR as well, as a salty barrel is going to be placed just a little bit late. And the first place is not the easiest to use against a call that just has so much movement speed to work with.
Speed now popped, and it does affect both of them as well. They're going to start making this aggressive play, but Fat Splatter has been popped, and honestly, it might not help at this point. JXCR making a huge flank and gets one, almost gets two. The slow being placed down by Toxic, and that's going to be a force through. Even uses the phase shifter to guarantee it. Wasn't necessary, but just went for it anyway. One goal up, a minute left, and if they manage to win this one, it's going to be match point.
Yeah, and that should be a goal here as well, as they're pushing forwards. Never mind, actually, a bit of a sloppy push. No one not really dodging the curveballs at all. So far, I have to say that the curveball value has been a little bit surprisingly high, as you would expect pro players to just be dodging a little bit better perhaps, but with nerves as well and certain lack of experience that some of those players have, that is definitely going to be impacting their ability to juke and how clean they can handle those sort of situations. A chance maybe there, some low HP players. Mateo considering a trick shot perhaps, but not going for it. And I think that means match point coming up now for Juan Danilos, as Enfermo are unable to equalize in time.
It's a little bit worrying on that side, but they have been, they have just been playing better, Juan Danilos, at this point. They're just seeming like the better team and more controlled aggression off the start as well. Alvaro's going to go down, and instantly it's going to be a one-sided game.
Yeah, a lot of aggression off the bat, and already a chance to score as well. JXCR walks it in after that super pass from Toxic, and that means now that Juan Danilos, it's only a single goal or 2 minutes separating them from the grand finals. And right now, that initial push is not going to be the strongest. Some low HP players there as well, but still a kill from Christian. So things not looking all that bad at the end of the day. JXCR considering if this is a push that is worth going for. A super that doesn't quite connect there from Toxic, the drop to base. However, easily accessible by Toxic's curveball. And Mateo has to fly up. Alvaro, low HP. Yeah, Christian walks it in. Brilliantly spotted opportunity there for Juan Danilos to close out this game set and match and lock in their spot in the grand finals.